the making for me. This is my 20th year in this industry, and I've had an opportunity to travel all over the world and do meetings just like this in homes all across the world, whether it's in the Philippines or Korea or right here in Houma, Louisiana. We're super excited. But I'm really excited to talk about Activz tonight, and we'll talk about, you'll hear a little bit more from David in terms of kind of the background and a little bit of the history that's involved, but we're super excited about where we're at. We are brand new in this space. We've been going in Mexico for coming up on 2 years, but we just kicked the doors open here in the US on June 1st. So we're only a couple of months in. We're just kind of getting things organized. You're going to hear about some life-changing products tonight. You're going to hear about some life-changing opportunities that are already changing people's lives. And there's some great announcements that we're going to share to kind of kick it up to that next level. We've got big plans for the rest of 2019, and we've got giant plans for 2020. There's going to be a lot of expansion, a lot of growth, especially here in the United States. This is truly an untapped market. As you look around here in this room, I mean, this is representing the entire southern United States. I mean, literally, I mean, we are brand new in this space. I mean, you're talking about massive potential and massive opportunity for those that capitalize, those that get to work and do what it takes. Now, I'm gonna tee up this video here and apologize if there's some rough little cuts. This is a brand new video. This is something we've been working on for a couple of months now. This is going to be an opportunity video that we'll use to talk about Activz. We'll start the majority of meetings with a video very similar to this. So brand new. In fact, I got the message from Angie Hawthorne, our Chief Operating Officer. She sent me this link. She'd probably freak out if she knew I was playing it because it's not totally done yet, but it's good. It's close enough. So
it's what happens in Houma stays in Houma.
That's right. So literally nobody has seen this. No distributor has seen this. This is brand new, hot off the press.
This is the premiere.
That's it.
Welcome to Activz, a company dedicated to identifying, developing, and sharing the most cutting-edge, scientifically advanced epigenetic products designed to dramatically improve health and help us all achieve our full human potential. But we can't do it alone. We need people who not only want to improve their own lives, but want to help others improve their health and improve their financial well-being also. That's why we designed the most rewarding and aggressive revenue-sharing program in the industry, so that entrepreneurs and others who want to really make a difference in their lives and achieve their goals can take part in the exploding health and wellness industry.
To be sure we stay on the cutting edge of product development and business strategy, we've partnered with some of the top biochemists and product engineers along with an advisory board of best-in-class professionals. Now, our team of executives, scientists, and advisors have pioneered some of the most cutting-edge scientific breakthroughs in epigenetic research, neuroscience, immunology, and microbiology. But we didn't partner because of what's been achieved in the past, but rather because of what's happening right now inside of Activz. Together we are changing the landscape for how people improve health and wellness through innovation and the development of new product technologies designed specifically to accelerate the wellness curve and activate multiple aspects of your life.
I'm so fortunate to have Activz in my life because it's not only given me a financial opportunity, but it's also given me the opportunity to have better health for myself and my family. Activz has really given me the opportunity to have a better life with Link. It gives me the health and energy required to keep up with my children every day. And that's all thanks to Link.
Life can be a pain sometimes. You can imagine the aches and pains I deal with riding and taking care of my horses. I'm throwing hay bales, I'm throwing the saddles on them. And I'm not naive, I'm getting older, I'm slowing down. And with Optimum, those aches and pains go away. I feel active. I feel like I'm 20 again.
We are in a crisis. We're in a healthcare crisis. We don't have a healthcare system in this country. We have a sick care system in this country.
We're eating processed foods, fast foods, all these different items. And so that gives us more diabetes.
Inflammatory diet, not exercising, not being cognitively stimulated.
Obesity is increasing.
We're trying to fix cars after they're broken.
And getting good health healthcare is very costly.
We're spending billions, we're bankrupting America right now.
We need proactive healthcare.
But it's really trying to prevent problems before they occur.
Activz is continuing to develop and has a pipeline of new products that will be coming down over the years. So I'm very excited about their product line as well as their future.
Today, many of us are tapping into what is referred to as the gig economy. Whether we're driving our car on the side, renting out rooms in our homes to passing travelers, or getting paid for a unique set of skills, more people than ever are engaged in some type of a side hustle to make ends meet and to get ahead financially. In fact, the gig economy is growing 3 times faster than the traditional workforce. With that type of explosive growth, Activz has positioned itself perfectly to become a major player in providing individuals with a gig or a side hustle to provide financial stability for them and their family and to become financially independent.
The global market for dietary supplements
Is expected to grow exponentially,
Projected to grow over 75%.
And reach $220 billion by 2022.
75% of people in the United States are taking supplements.
in taking control of their health care proactively.
In proactively taking control of their own health.
Right now, Activz is positioned to take advantage of that.
They just need people like you and me to help bring them the technology and the ability to do that.
Activz is already open in multiple countries with its sights set on entering additional markets within the coming months and years. Our unique omni-channel distribution model is a revenue-generating opportunity for all of our independent influencers and product promoters. It is truly a one-of-a-kind system that allows our loyal product users and independent entrepreneurs an opportunity to earn a share from all of the sales transacted by the company across multiple channels, sales outlets, and markets. And the best thing about it is you get to do it from the comfort of your own home.
Not only does getting involved with us give you a chance to make the world better through our products and economic opportunities, but the personal benefits you'll experience are rare and second to none. Activz can truly activate your life by providing you with opportunities to travel, work from home, mentor, and coach other aspiring entrepreneurs, and completely alter the way you earn money. Transitioning from a linear income model to a residual income model and giving you more time and lifestyle choices.
I consider myself to be one of the most fortunate employees here at Activz. I get the opportunity to speak to dozens of distributors almost every single day, and they all share how the Activz Opportunity has changed their life for the better. I hear stories of how our products are making people healthier. I work very closely with people to optimize their business and make sure that they are maximizing the way they make money with us here at Activz. I can say firsthand, since I get to work with these people so closely, that the business works. It's changing people's life for the better, and because someone told them about the Activz Opportunity and about our products. It's a very powerful and amazing thing to be able to witness firsthand this amazing change in people's lives.
At Activz, we're confident that everyone who takes our products will achieve profound health benefits. Likewise, we want to make sure that everyone who joins our company has an equal chance for success. That's why we develop powerful communication and training platforms that include a virtual business office containing a library full of training and product videos to make it easier to share the story of Activz with others. We've also developed a powerful and easy-to-use phone app that has a lot of content that allows you to share and identify with friends and prospects. Our activation system, or success guide, helps you start off on the right foot, whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur or a newbie who's looking forward to establish a great business opportunity for themselves. But just in case you need a little bit more help, we've assembled a world-class team of highly trained and wonderful customer service people who will answer your questions and provide you with all the assistance that you need on your path to success.
At Activz, we take the goals and dreams of our independent business partners seriously. We know that they're important, and the truth is we're not just looking for dreamers. We are looking for like-minded people who share our vision for what's possible. So if you've always wondered what it would be like to start your own business and really bet on yourself, we do invite you to partner with us. You have nothing to lose and everything to gain. We will be with you every step of the way, and together we can accomplish a quality of life that most people only dream of.
Okay.
Pretty good to be
It's
a
pretty good.
in the work.
A few of those transitions need a little bit of work, but it's getting close. So very close. I'll just say this. One of the things that's happened, as I mentioned, I've been in this industry for 20 years. And I've worked for some of the biggest companies in this space, and I've worked for some of the smallest, brand new companies, just like here at Activz. But what we've done is we've really taken the best of all these other opportunities and we brought it here. Whether it's the products that we offer, whether it's the compensation plan, whether it's the behavior that we reward, we really focus on helping people have success. That's our goal, that's our purpose. That's why we're here in Houma, Louisiana, is to help each one of you to have success. And that's why we're going to continue to do it. And as Wayne said, I'm your go-to guy. If there's things that I can do, if there's calls that I can get on and people that I can meet with, that's what I want to do, is to help you succeed. That's our goal. We know that we've got amazing products. We know that we've got an amazing company. But here's the reality. The most important thing that we have are you, the people that are involved with the company, that are taking these amazing products and this amazing company to the masses. So without further ado, I want to turn this meeting over to the CEO. You saw him on the big screen. He's a movie star, but he's right here in the room today. CEO of Activz, Mr. David Brown.
Well, here's the thing. Because I don't want all of you to injure your neck. We're gonna sit down and have a whole meeting. How's that? So, it is great. This is actually my favorite part of this whole job, is getting out and meeting people where they are. In fact, I was just telling Kim, that's one of the mantras of the company, is saying, okay, we're going to meet people where we find them. And so whether you've been somebody that's been with us, and investors, I mean, the Toasts are one of our largest investors in the company and have been involved in the early days. People that we've known with other ventures that we've done in the past and had various levels of success, or people that we're meeting for the first time. It's just great. And so on that note, I think we'll just, maybe we'll just take a little bit and say, okay, where did we come from? Why are we here? And where are we going? How's that? Let's talk about that a little bit. Yeah. So some of you know that I am a recovering lawyer, so if that's a problem, I'm going to get that out of the way.
The key to it is recovery.
But the products help me get through one day at a time. If I ever have that inkling to just go sue somebody, I take something and I swallow it.
Well, they stopped doing testing on mice and they started using lawyers because they had a limited number of mice.
Very good.
And and nobody protests that, do they?
True.
They say they actually protest saying you're being too humane on those lawyers. Come on, make it tougher on them. I totally agree with you. But I've been in the nutritional supplement field for a long time, and I actually joined a company that was not network marketing. They're in the retail space as a lawyer, and I joined with zero background in supplements. I knew nothing about it. I was an international corporate guy. I speak Japanese. I was all transactional based. I did mergers and acquisitions and big transactions. Knew nothing about it, and entered it very skeptical about virtually everything. My wife's family was into herbs and things like that. And I remember one time when we were dating in high school that I had a cold. And my future mother-in-law said, hey, take a teaspoon of this. And there was this white or this yellow stuff on a teaspoon. I'm like, what the heck? But I really like this girl. I'm like, I want to make do something. And she puts this, shoves this stuff down of an herb called a golden seal. If you've ever heard of golden seal. Mm-hmm. And actually has quite a long history of therapeutic benefits in Ayurvedic medicine as well as other types of medicine. But it is nasty. It is about blew my doors off. I muscled it down and it was okay. But between that time and the time that I joined a company, didn't know anything. And there are a lot of crazy claims being made about products, and then you add that on top of network marketing companies that make crazy claims about business opportunities and making money and things like that. And the one thing I do is that I want, before we make any claims, they had to be true. Okay? And about everything. We're just, we might talk about a lot of things, but we're going to tell the truth no matter what. And so I got involved in this company, had some success in a company called Natural Balance, and we was able to grow it, became their CEO, and then in another company called Metabolite that was a big diet company. And my first experience in network marketing was with a company that actually is very much like some of you. It was a company that had never been in network marketing before. It was called LifeVantage, and some of you have had some experience there. You guys have, you haven't, and these guys didn't. And what happened was this company was actually, I think, a good example of where many of us find ourselves, is that lots of potential, had a very brief run of success, and then was stuck in a rut where it really wasn't going anywhere, wasn't succeeding. It was really, from a financial standpoint, was about at the end of its rope. And so I joined the company, and I became the CEO, had a great product. You know, and if you don't have a product, if you have a company, you better have a good or service that people really need, right? And in that company, they had a great product called Protandim that had great science. And some of you have heard the story before. It was being sold at GNC and some other places, but it wasn't succeeding. And it was selling about half a bottle per store per month. The first thing I said is, well, stop selling half bottles, sell full bottles. Nobody's going to buy a bottle that's been cut in half. No, I'm just kidding. It's a bad joke, right?
Yeah.
You can tell I have 4 kids and 4 grandkids. Yeah. I've got a lot of dad.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to apologize for it. But anyway,
I think they're good.
That's what you're a dad too, yeah. Right? But the biggest problem was that this product had great science, and it did something that nobody understood. It reduced something called oxidative stress, which was the cumulative damage of free radicals. And even if somebody had heard about free radicals and think they probably hadn't heard about that, and so the problem was you couldn't put all this information on a label. You couldn't expect the GNC clerk to tell you this. So if you happen to see this lonely little bottle sitting on the shelves of GNC and picked it out because you had an hour or two to kill and you're just looking at every single thing in the store, because that's about how, the chances of you finding it, you might pick it up next to the $12.99 vitamin C, because they usually put it in the vitamin C section, and they said, reduces oxidative stress. I don't know what this is, and I'm not paying $50 for it. Okay, so it goes back on the shelf. So now take the same product, same science, and introduce it into a channel where people had the opportunity to sit down and talk about it. Okay, we went from a company with $3 million in sales, losing $1 million, with a stock price of 11 cents, actually 19 cents, soon to go to 9 or 7 cents. Okay, they were not a prospect, and basically been almost out of business. So I went to the board and I said, "You're on the wrong channel." And here's the deal: the main reason that they hired me in the first place is because I had all the success at retail. I'd taken companies into Walmart and Costco and all this stuff, and Walgreens. And I said, "This will not work. I'm telling you, this will not work. You don't have enough money to make it work. Okay, so try this channel." Well, do you have any experience in that? Well, no, not really. But I know, here's what I do know, is that more supplements worldwide are sold through network marketing companies than any company, all right? The largest companies, you probably, maybe that you've heard of, at GNC and things like that, they're $100 million, $200 million companies. You know the largest network marketing companies are that are selling supplements? Like Amway? Everybody makes fun of Amway, right? Oh yeah, Amway, chuckle. Yeah, well, okay. Amway is about a $14 or $15 billion company. Okay, they don't care if you make fun of them. Right? You can go watch the Heat play in the Amway basketball arena if you want, okay, or whatever. And so I said, "You're in the wrong channel. Let's go down this." And they basically said, "Nothing else we've tried works. Let's go for it." And so what happened was I was able to meet some people who, like John, who did know how the industry worked. And even though I didn't know about it, I learned from people like him, and Ryan Thompson, who was featured, and Angie Hawthorne. He had a great team, had a great product, and then the only missing ingredient, people like you. So what do we do, John? We end up being in a lot of homes, in a lot of things just like this, where people would say, "Why are you in a house like that? I mean, you're the CEO. Why are you coming in a room full of people like this?" Say, "Because we're looking for leaders. We're looking for people to capture our vision and run with it." And so some people did, some people didn't. There were people who got involved and said, "I really think I want to do this." And Kim was one of them, Wayne was one of them, you guys were one of them, and had varying degrees of success. All right, for a lot of different reasons. Now, we had a great run. In 4 years, we went from 3 million and losing $1 million to over 200 million. That stock price that was on a pink sheet listed at 7 cents got listed on NASDAQ for $4. Okay, a lot of people made a lot of money. And then what happens when you're a publicly held traded company is that things happen, sometimes well beyond your control. And that happened, and as a result of some things that happened, I and many others decided to leave. Didn't mean that the product wasn't any good. Didn't mean that the model wasn't any good. It just meant at the time it was time to do something else. Well, time goes by, and we said, you know what? We learned a lot from that experience. And guess what? Technology doesn't stand still. And so the chief scientific officer, that Dr. Joe McGarry, who had developed Protandem, he'd gone on and we'd stayed in touch, and he developed a product that was 10 times more potent than Protandem. I said, I think we'd like to have that product. Okay? And so we licensed it. And then we said, you know what? While we're starting in Mexico, there are people in the United States that are interested because maybe they didn't get the opportunity that they thought at LifeVantage. It sounded great, and they were able to see people making money, doing very well, but for whatever reason, it didn't quite mesh with them at the time. And here's the dirty little secret of network marketing. Because I was so new to the industry, I didn't have this long, this deep understanding. So I didn't understand that the industry statistics, its own trade group, publishes information about the success rate. And if people really looked at the success rate, they'd never join the industry. Okay? You say, wait a minute, aren't you a CEO? Why are you telling people this? Okay, well, because I think people should know. Did you know that 85% of all people that join network marketing companies make zero money? Zero. Don't get a check. 10% make their money back. And only 5%, this is worldwide, 5% of all people that join network marketing companies make any money. Okay, come out net ahead. Okay? Now, I understand that statistics, especially if you're a lawyer, statistics can be manipulated in a lot of ways. All right, you can say the same thing about, I used to ask for people in groups and say, how many of you were forced to take piano lessons as a kid? I was, okay? And I'd say, how many of you now can get down and play whatever you want on a piano? You know, there were a lot of hands that went up at first, and hardly any hands that went up after that. So I'd say, well, what happened? Did your fingers get cut off? What happened? You just quit. You stopped. So you can't really expect to be that good if you quit. So there are a lot of people that, like any other thing, they start and then they just don't stick with it. Okay, so that's a good excuse. And then if you look at the number of businesses that are started in any walk of life, the vast majority of them fail in the first 3 years, right? Because they're undercapitalized or whatever, ran into things that they didn't know. Come on, Karen.
Sorry, we had our business call on Thursday night, so I was kicking that off.
Perfect. That's great.
So.
You know, the number of kids who start out playing Little League baseball or football, and the percentage of kids that eventually make it, the number one, make a high school team, then go on to play college ball, and then play pro ball. I mean, it's a steep drop off, right? So there's lots of things in life that you could use statistics, and if you really said, well, and because of that, why even start? Well, that's kind of crazy. Well, one thing we learned is we said, okay, here's the deal. We want to start again. We brought the same team together that had been so instrumental in building LifeVantage in the first place, from the corporate side. We not only got this, a better version of the product that launched us then, but we were able to utilize our relationships in other areas to get scientists who had tremendous research. Because here's the deal. Protandem, the LifeVantage, and some people say, well, we don't mention the LifeVantage. This is not like Harry Potter and you talk about Voldemort. Okay, he should not be named. You know, the company that should not be named LifeVantage. No, I'm fine with that. It was my baby, our baby. We built that sucker, you know? And so I have no problem talking about it. But here's the thing. The product, the science behind that product didn't get any better once it was a $200 million company versus when it was a $3 million company. Same science, same product, okay? What happened is that they needed to get it in the right channel. And I say the same thing about the network marketing opportunity for people. It doesn't, just because somebody has not succeeded in another walk of life, or they're looking for another opportunity, doesn't mean that they shouldn't join network marketing. No, absolutely. But for network marketing, guess what? There are millions of people who never would have taken Protandem. The company wouldn't even exist. If we had not made that shift, it would not exist today. And you would never have heard about the product. and literally millions of people would not have received the benefits. And so I have zero concerns talking about network marketing, even though I see the pitfalls and the problems associated with it. Let me tell you what they are, okay? We've talked about claims. Lots of companies make claims about their products and the opportunity that simply are not true. And we will never do that. Some people, and you might say, well, that happens in a lot of cases. Yeah, that's true. I mean, how many of you really look at beer commercials and say, if I drink that beer, I'm going to be surrounded by beautiful people and I'm going to have abs look like this. I mean, if you look at those beer commercials, you say, this is the life, man. Right?
I tried it, it don't work.
Don't work for me.
You're close.
Not big commercial.
So there's all types of things that give kind of, misleading claims, so to speak. But the one thing that I think is particularly troubling about network marketing is that somebody stands up and says, everybody can do this. I'm going to tell you it's not true. It's absolutely, positively not true. Okay? Now, what is true is that you can't predict who will succeed and who won't. That's absolutely true. How many of you, if you've ever been involved, say, oh, if I can just get so-and-so, they're so good with people, they are such great salesmen, they will just kick it out of the park. And this person over there that hates people, it's like the get off my lawn guy, it's like, I'm never with that guy. And then what happens? They both get recruited. The person who can seem to talk to anybody, goes up and hugs light poles. They fail. And the person that hates people, somehow, they made it. Okay, now there are some certain common denominators of those who tend to be successful and those who don't. But nevertheless, it's hard to predict. So when we took the industry statistics, the fact that not everybody can do the same things, we said to ourselves, how do we meet people where we find them? How do we create a real legitimate business, not only for ourselves as a company, but for people that we're looking towards? Because any company that has a product to sell only survives on distribution, right? You gotta have distribution. If you're gonna distribute it via e-commerce or at Costco or a lemonade stand, you're taking advantage of traffic driving by, you've got to have distribution. And so that's the key. It doesn't matter how good we think we are, it doesn't matter how great the science is, you've got to get it out where people know. So how do you provide that incentive for people? Well, what we do is instead of spending half of our budget on marketing, we spend over half of our budget on you, on giving people money. And we said, okay, what about this whole thing, this compensation plan, this commission structure? Okay, aren't all those things pyramid schemes anyway? Well, no. If you have a pyramid scheme, you go to jail. Okay, but if you obey the law and tell the truth, you don't go to jail, and you have a chance of making some money. And so we said, okay, if we're going to really meet people where we find them, what can we do? Well, let's start with having products that people really need. I mentioned lemonade stands a minute ago. Everybody likes lemonade. But I don't think I want to go into the lemonade stand business. Why? Because there's a lot of it out there. It's pretty stiff competition, and it's hard to make any money. All right. So what we do know is that there are two great trends that are going on, not just in the United States, but in the world. One of them is what John mentioned. It was also he mentioned on the video. This whole idea of gigs or side hustles. I think it was actually Uber who kind of coined that phrase. Get your side hustle on. Right. So they're taking advantage of it. Whether it be Uber or Lyft or any of these meal delivery companies or any number of things, people are looking for ways to make money and add to their. And this is actually the time when overall the economy statistically seems to be in pretty good shape. But most people, are still a little uneasy, right? It's almost like, I think I see that light coming down, and I don't think it's the light to prosperity. It looks like a train that's about ready to run me over. Okay, so I get that. So they're looking for a way to make additional streams of income, and that's universal. Okay. Number two is this desire to take control of your own health. Okay, and whether that be through supplements, you're recognizing that I don't have to go to a doctor every time now my parents. Okay, I'm 56 years old. My parents grew up in the Depression, but they also grew up at a time when doctors, anything the doctor said was taken as gospel. But don't get me wrong, I'm not one of these, pharmaceuticals, they're all bad, doctors are all bad kind of guy. I'm not. They have their place. But if there's one thing that science has shown us, is that we can really take control, okay? We're not just a product of our genes, all right? We can actually make a difference. You heard the word epigenetic. Epigenetic means that you can make a difference in your genes. Not whether you have the gene or not. Okay, that we can't control. We do have the genes that we've got. All right. I can't make it. Well, at least to this date, all attempts at making a difference epigenetically in my hair and my height have failed miserably. Okay? So there's some things that we don't seem to be able to make a difference on genetically yet. But there's lots of things we can. For example, chronic low-grade inflammation. We all know that inflammation occurs, and it's actually a healthy body response in certain ways. Okay?
Just a reminder, we've got our
If you've got a cut, okay, when it starts to turn red and the body turns its white blood cells on there to heal it, that's good inflammation. If you sprain your ankle and it swells, you know what? That's the body's way of healing it, saying, "Get off, let me heal this sprained ankle." Okay, so that inflammation is good. But there's actually a lot of bad inflammation. Bad inflammation that comes by virtue of what we eat and other lifestyle choices that we make. That now inflammation is being viewed by science as the big bad guy for almost anything. Heart disease, diabetes, almost all disease states has its underlying root cause inflammation. So what is inflammation? Inflammation, frankly, is just chaos in your cells that usually we create. Okay? And so you say, well, wouldn't it be good if we could just do something about that inflammation? Well, guess what? Epigenetically, you can. Because there are genes and there are markers in our system, in our DNA, that turn on and turn off. And sometimes, guess what? The on button gets stuck. And it just keeps churning out. It's inflammation. Okay? And so what happens, you've heard of autoimmune disorders, like fibromyalgia, lupus, rheumatoid arthritis. That's when the on button has been stuck. And the body's recognizing almost everything as an enemy and is fighting. Your body's fighting itself. And it results in chronic pain, in limited movement, and lots of other things. Okay, lack of sleep, which in turn, guess what? That triggers problems with your immune system, so you find yourself susceptible to other things. So it's a real big deal. So if we can offer products that are unique, so it's a good business opportunity, because if everybody has it, it's not that good. It's just a widget at that point, right? It's like just going out there and selling, lemonade. But if you have something that's unique to you, turning those genes off when they're supposed to be off and on when they're supposed to be on, then you're onto something. And it's this type of product, you don't have to take my word for it. That scientific advisory board and that strategic advisory board that was featured on the video, I'll tell you what, I've never been at any company that has people of that magnitude. Admiral Matt Winter came because of the introduction by the toasts. He just retired recently, but until last month, he was a sitting vice admiral, the head of the Joint Task Force in creating the F-35 fighter plane. This is the guy who is briefing the White House, weekly. He was involved with all of our allies, every branch of the military, in doing this. Before he could even join our strategic advisory board, we had to be vetted by the Navy. Okay? Seriously. and his agreement with us had to be vetted by the Navy, because he was still part of the Navy at the time. And it's like, well, okay, when you're on your own time, we won't worry about it. But as long as you're still a sitting vice admiral, we're going to worry about it. And so there had to be credibility. Now, it's interesting. Some of you that were involved with LifeVantage, you might remember that some of the studies that we did there were sponsored by and conducted by the Office of Naval Research. Actually, who happened to be, totally coincidentally, the head of the Office of Naval Research during that time? Admiral Matt Winter. So he was there during those studies. He was familiar with it. He knew about protandem. He knew about oxidative stress. He's actually kind of a scientist and an engineer in his own right. And so when we told him about the science, he's like, I'm all over this. When you talk to him about our product Link, okay, which is called Link because of the connection between the brain and the gut, and the science that we're finding out about, you better take care of one or you're going to have problems in the other. All right? You know what Admiral Matt Winter talks about? He talks about the fact that he notices the reduction in brain fog. Okay, he's about my age. He's 55 or 56, I think. Something like that, right? And as we get a little bit older, our brain doesn't seem to work quite as quickly, quite as alertly as it used to. And there's reasons for that. You ever heard of something called brain plaque? Beta amyloids. Look it up. You're going to be disgusted, okay? What happens is these little things that stick to our brain cells, stick to our synapses, and don't let the neurotransmitters work as fast as they used to. So if you can get rid of those things, And if you can reduce that, guess what? It's like cleaning out, you know, your carburetor, okay, or your fuel injector, or getting your engine, making it clean again. It just runs faster again because you're getting rid of impurities. Guess what? Link does with butyric acid. It helps the body do that on its own, because what butyric acid is, the main ingredient in that product, is an ingredient that's naturally produced in our colon by friendly bacteria. Did you know that we have about 100 million more bacteria in our body than we do human cells? So it kind of raises a philosophical question. Are we humans with a bunch of bacteria, or are we bacteria with a few human cells? I don't know. You know, we'll leave that for the philosophers to discuss. All right, but nevertheless, what we know, what science has found out, is that things that we used to think were purely brain-related, neurological issues, have their foundation in the gut. Now, I was talking to a scientist at the University of San Diego, University of California at San Diego recently, and he said, "Oh yeah, we've known for decades that irritable bowel disorder, irritable bowel syndrome, is a neurological disorder." I'm like, what? Now, when I think neurological, I think brain. When I think of irritable bowel, I don't think brain. And they said, no, they're connected. And the same type of thing with things like autism, you know, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, depression. Guess where they have their origin? In the gut. And by the gut, it's also funny because when I would talk to, as kids growing up, you'd say, you know, that kid punched me in the gut. Okay, what's the gut? Well, again, it's kind of a slang term for the stomach, right? But scientists use and doctors use the phrase gut, and basically, you know what they think it means? Everything from here down to there, not including the heart and the lungs. Everything else is the gut. All right, and that whole gastrointestinal system is often referred to now as the second brain. Why? Because more neurons or brain cells, you have more of them in your gut than you do in your brain. 85% of neurotransmitters, the chemicals that your brain uses, guess where it's made? In the gut. And guess what those friendly bacteria do? They exchange constantly. They go back and forth between the gut and the brain. That's why we call it a link. And so he talks about how the brain fog that he gets, that we all get, he's noticed, Admiral Winter has noticed that link reduces that. Why do we have it? Well, there's other butyric acid products out there. So why is it a good business opportunity? Because ours is the only one that has the bioavailability by virtue of a patent pending process that actually gets it where it's going to go. All right? And the other thing about it is, butyric acid, whether made synthetically or naturally in the body, stinks. Okay? It stinks and it tastes bad. And when I say it stinks, let me give you an example. I'm glad you've already eaten. Because butyric acid is responsible for the smell and taste of stomach bile. And guess what? When it's produced synthetically, it has the same taste and the same smell. And so by virtue of this patent pending process, they take a molecule of butyric acid and they put it in a molecule of cyclodextrin, which effectively does a couple of things. Number one, it covers up the taste and the smell. And number two, it preserves it on its way through the gut, through the stomach acid and all those things that knock out most of the supplements you take. Most of the supplements that we take never make it to any part of our body that would do us any good. It just becomes expensive stuff that you lose in the toilet. Okay? Almost always. And so you better make sure that the bioavailability or the absorption is really occurring. So we've covered that. We've covered that with Optimint, our anti-inflammatory and pain reduction product. With Link, which is our connection between the brain and the gut. Okay? It's going to help things like you notice Richard Jones, he's one of our advisory board members. He suffers from diverticulitis, and it's extremely painful. Do you know what he calls Link? He calls it his magic pills. Seriously. He says, because this takes care of stuff in a way that none of my drugs have. Why is that? Well, because it heals the gut. The endothelial cells that line our stomach and line all of our organs, guess what their primary fuel of choice is? Butyric acid. Why do we have leaky gut syndrome? You ever heard of leaky gut syndrome? Leaky gut syndrome is just what it says. You have holes in your gut. Why do we have holes in our gut? Because of stress, because of alcohol, because of caffeine, because of processed foods, because of lots of things going on. So what happens is, you might say, well, what's the big deal? Well, here's the big deal. When you have holes in your stomach, food particles that are larger than they should be get into your system. You know what that creates? That creates an autoimmune response warning, 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 there's something here that shouldn't be here. The body sends out, its fighter planes to attack it. You know how most notably we notice that? Allergies. Most allergies have their source with problems in your gut, because particles are getting out that are too big for the body to absorb naturally. All right, number one. Number two, guess what it also means? Pathogens, toxins, other things that are coming in, guess what? Normally speaking, if your gut is solid and sealed up, they get wiped out by the stomach acid. But if there's holes, all of a sudden they escape. So you have a pathogen, you have a toxin, you have a microbe that's going to do a lot of damage, okay, throughout the rest of the system if it's not caught. What's the body's response? Attack, attack, attack. But can you imagine if the stomach is perfectly sealed and operating like it should do, all of a sudden your body's just operating the way that it should. And that's ultimately what we're talking about. Our ability to heal and to thrive and to grow by virtue of what we're already programmed to do is amazing. All we're doing is putting the genes, regulating the genes to do what they're supposed to do. Okay, guess what? We're having an epigenetic effect on our bodies every day, whether we intend to or not. Okay? Every time we down that diet soda, and I'm not a food Nazi, I'm guilty, all right? Every time we drink that, we drink alcohol or smoke or happen to be in a polluted environment or don't exercise or don't do this, guess what we're doing? We're allowing our bodies to function like they should. So yes, we should watch what we eat. We should get proper nutrition, and we should exercise. There's lots of things we should do. But we often need a little nudge along the way. And that's what these products do, is help us get there. So we have the products. If you have a product that and guess what? There's not a person on earth that won't benefit from Link or Optimed. Seriously, you can't say that about a lot of things, all right? Yeah, I love my smartphone. Can you survive without it? Yes. Can you survive as well without it? Maybe in some ways better, all right? But it's interesting. But every single person who's alive right now is suffering from low-grade inflammation. They just are. It's a product of life. It's a fact of life. Every single person is, by virtue of their lifestyle, affecting their stomach lining, affecting their brain, and can use the benefits of butyric acid. Because guess what? As you get older, you're not making as much as you should. So you need to supplement. So you have a product that every single person needs. And guess what? They can only get it from you. That's where the business opportunity comes in. If you've got something that everybody needs, and if you feel passionately about it, okay, and that's really important to believe in it. That you don't have to believe me. That's the good news. You just have. I mean, on curcumin alone, I think there are 88,000 studies out there on PubMed. If you want to go read it up for a little, bathtub reading or something like that, you can find yourself, figure it out. So what we said, okay, fine, it's great products, but they aren't made for retail. I've had people come to me and say, if your products are any good, they'd be at GLC. If your products are any good, they'd be at Walgreens. I'm like, yeah, not so much. In fact, there's a lot of products that are in those stores and those outlets and online, that really, they might be okay, but for the most part, they're Me Too products, and they don't have any unique features to them. Now, what we have is we've already established the viability of the products. And it's okay, well, if the best way to sell these is directly to people, where you have an opportunity, you don't need to go into chapter and verse like I did. In fact, we have a video, I don't know if we have time to show it, but we were featured on a local television station in Salt Lake City. And if you haven't seen the video, one of the people that invited you here tonight can show you. But it shows an older man in his 70s who has a lot of pain in his hands, and so he enjoyed playing pickleball. He enjoys playing with his grandkids, but the pain was just it was really osteoarthritis, and so much so that he just couldn't do it. So he took Optimed, and he talks about, and this is what he says at the end of the at the end of the news piece, and it's great. He goes, "I don't know how it works. I just know that it does work. I'm going to keep taking it." And frankly, that's okay. It doesn't really, you don't need to know all this stuff. I'm a bit of a geek, so I really like the science part. But at the end of the day, it just works, and people will notice that it works. And so you say, okay, fine. This is the vehicle that we've chosen. Direct marketing, network marketing, so that we can have people get out there and tell their own story about the product. And also, that's where this gig or side hustle comes in. Our compensation plan is focused on helping people get to $500 or $1,000 a month. That's its main focus. You might say, well, how can you do that? Well, one of the things that we know when we say we meet people where we find them is that if they pass out samples of this product and give it out to people, they're going to probably like it. They're going to want to buy the product. Well, in other companies, that's not really a focus, including LifeVantage. I didn't really realize at the time the power. I knew we had lots of customers. I think 40% of the people that signed up were customers, sometimes higher. But did that really benefit the distributor, the person that went out and found that customer? Not so much, right? It was like a 4% commission, which is not that exciting, right? So we thought, well, if that's the easiest thing to do, let's reward that activity more fully. So our compensation plan pays 20%, all right? Then we said, well, what are some other things we can do to make this a little bit easier for people? Now, it doesn't mean there's always going to be effort, okay? We talked about Uber and how it talks about being a side hustle. How many of you have ever either been part of a network marketing company or heard somebody say, nobody makes any money? It's all a scam. Okay, we've all heard that before. Does anybody say that about Uber? Except its shareholders. Its shareholders are wondering if it's a scam, okay? Because they're losing tons of money, all right? But people who actually drive for Uber, they make money. Now, if somebody signs up for Uber, and they're probably not going to sign up if they don't have a car, right? They're probably not going to sign up if they don't feel comfortable having people in their car and driving around. And if they do, if they sign up for Uber, they know if they drive a certain amount, there's a predictable amount of money they're going to make, right? And if they don't make any money, if they don't drive, I should say, they're not going to make any money. And if they never drive anybody, and then they don't make any money, they're not going to say, oh, that Uber's a scam, I never made any money. Well, did you drive? No. Well, nobody then agrees that it's a scam. No, it's not a scam, you didn't do anything. And so at the end of the day, that's true of everything. You've got to put some effort out there, you've got to put yourself out there. And so, but we said, okay, fine, if you do that, we're going to reward you. Now, other companies have what they call global pools, where they will take a certain percentage of all the global revenue of the company and put it in pools so people can aspire to and take part in. So that not only are you benefiting from what you do in your own particular organization, you're benefiting from what Wayne does, what the Toths do, and from people you don't even know in Mexico, in Japan, in Peru, or wherever the company happens to be. Pretty common. A LifeVantage, it happened at, it didn't happen until you hit some pretty high ranks, all right? Here, we said, you know what? Let's give people a taste of that at a lower level, so they can feel very early on that they are part of something. So for those of you that are familiar with LifeVantage, back in the day, that was a Pro 7 rank, which was it 100,000 volume, right? As opposed to Pro 5, which I think was $10,000 in volume, and Pro 5?
Pro 4.
Pro 4
was 10,000.
Was 10,000.
Yeah.
Okay. So we are at an A6 is, remind me, John.
Yeah.
10,000. Yeah. 10,000. Okay, Pro 4. Yeah. So we're even lower. It's even better than I thought. But at that level of volume, that's a tenth of what was required to allow you to participate in those pools at another company. At a tenth of that volume, you're starting to taste. Now, don't get me wrong. You're not going to get rich on that, but it's a first taste of what you can get as you put your toe in the water and start going. And so that was important for us. The other thing that we noticed, you mentioned, or on the video, it talked about omni-channel. You may have thought, what is all that about? And here's what it's about. We know that some people out there, no matter how good the science is, you could hit them over the head with the science. You could introduce them to the Nobel Prize winning scientists. And once they find out that it's from a network marketing company, they're like, no thank you. It's snake oil. I don't want anything to do with that. Okay? So you find, okay, great. I still want those people to have the benefits of the product. So how are we going to do it? Well, what we might do it is we might do it through Amazon. We might do it through online marketing channels. We might do it through, the practitioner channel, chiropractors, things like that. And so if we do that and access people that otherwise you're not going to even have a chance to get, we're not going to be in competition with you at all. We're not going to go after the same people that you would have access and influence over. What we're going to do, though, is we're going to say, okay, fine. If we have the ability to bring in customers through other channels, guess what we're going to do with that revenue? We're going to put it back in those global pools. And so you're going to benefit from it. So you're not going to get, it's not just going to be geographic benefits you get, but also other sales channel benefits that you'll get in terms of doing that as well. So there's a lot of different things going on, but at the end of the day, it's kind of like the guy who said, I don't know how it works, it just works, all right? And you might say, well, does this work? Well, we've now had almost 2 years to prove it out in Mexico. And, we have hundreds of people in Mexico who are making between... Hello.
Excuse me.
Is this your house? Or
That's our house, yeah.
Of all the nerve coming into your own house. who are making between $250 and $1,000 a month. Now, here in the United States, if you make an extra $500 or $1,000 a month, that's pretty good. Most people, back in the recession of 2009, there were statistics that said that if the average person who lost his house or her house had an extra, I think it was like $375, they would have kept their house. All right, 370. I mean, it was less than $500. I remember that. And so, if that makes a difference here, I'll tell you what. The gap between the haves and the have-nots in the United States is pretty big. But the gap between the haves and the have-nots in Mexico is a chasm. Okay, it's the Grand Canyon. It's huge. And if you add another $500 or $1,000 to your monthly income in Mexico, that is generational changing money. I can tell you, none of those people are trying to escape wall or no wall in the United States. Because none of those people really want it. The only reason they're coming for it is economic opportunity, right? So if you can give them economic opportunity there, I'll tell you what, Activz is doing more than either country's government to keep people in their homes, because they say, I don't need to move. Okay? And then if you have some of these people who are making $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, which we have, it's crazy money. Crazy money. In Mexico, that's like $50,000 a month here. I mean, it's unbelievable. And we've proven that that's possible as well. So the model is working. There were some people that were shown in that video. Martin Lira, who's in Chihuahua, Mexico. Okay, Martin is a guy who has not had much success. He's definitely not part of the haves. He didn't have family money. He's not, he didn't go to university or anything like that. And he had dabbled in other network marketing companies with, I think moderate success, nothing big. But he really ran with it. And he had not been part of LifeVantage before. So he never heard of the story about Pro 10, and he never heard about any of the success. But he said, I want a chance. This is my chance, and I'm going to run with it. And the guy's a nut. He's just a nut, okay? And I mean, here's one of the things that he does. He has, I don't know that I necessarily recommend this particular approach, but it's just to tell you how much he wants it for himself and his family. He'll go in, and he'll drive into a hair salon filled with women, okay? None of whom he knows. And he'll say, hello, my name is Martin. Do any of you know anyone who has had success or is interested in network marketing? Now, what's interesting there, he didn't say, are any of you interested? Didn't put any of them on the spot. He said, do you know anybody that is? And so these people are like, yeah, hey, I know somebody. I know somebody. And so most of the people in his organization, he didn't know. Okay? Now, I'm not sure how duplicatable that is, but what is duplicatable, okay, is the effort and the passion that he shows. Because people say, well, how do you succeed in this business? I think the number one thing to do to succeed in this business is, first of all, to want it and believe in it. And you've heard this phrase before, where it talks about enthusiasm on fire, right? That's really what, or ignorance on fire. Maybe it's better, ignorance on fire. And that's okay. Because I'll tell you what, most people, when they hear me talk about our products, believe that I really believe it. Because I do. I really believe it. Now, they may not want to have anything to do with the company. But at the end of the day, they think, okay, this guy's, he might have just been totally fooled. But at least he believes his own BS. Okay? and because I do. Okay? I believe it. And I can show them the statistics. And so at that point, because I believe it so strongly, it doesn't matter to me if you don't believe it. It's not going to shake my faith in it. Because I've known it. I've experienced it myself. All right? As I tell my kids, this doesn't happen by accident. Okay, Brooke, I'm just kidding. That's a joke. Okay. That's like the old height and hair. It wouldn't be fair to you. But I think the bottom line is, yes, there are ways of succeeding. The people, Kim had a great amount of success at LifeVantage. And the things that she did to have success are very similar to the things you'll have success in other companies. When you were at another company, you got a car like in 5 days, right? If I remember right. And it wasn't because...
It's actually 12 hours.
12 hours. 5 days? That was an eternity. Yeah. 12 hours. And although I'm not sure I've ever even asked you this question, but the only way that could have happened, in my opinion at least, okay, the only way that could have happened is for Karen to have called up and said, I am so excited about this company. I don't know that much about it. I don't even have that much time to tell you about it. Just join. Yep. Just trust me. Had to happen just like that, right?
That's exactly how it
And it reminds me of a guy who was at LifeVantage. His name is Koichi Tadakoro, okay, in Hawaii. Same thing. He qualified for our very first incentive, The company was so small, we didn't have any money, okay? You know what our very first incentive was called? Dinner with David. Okay? Dinner with David. And when we were first talking about this, you remember this, okay? It truly was going to be at my house in San Diego, California, where I was raising my kids, and I had to change it. Because my wife said, if you're going to invite people over, we're going to redo this. And then I'm like, this is going to cost me tens of thousands of dollars. I'm not going to do this. And so what we did is I called in every favor that I had in the city. And I had a friend who owned Paradise Point Resort. And so we got a great screaming deal at Paradise Point, okay? I had a friend who was the head of SeaWorld. And so we got a free behind the tour tour of SeaWorld. And stuff like that. I mean, seriously, it cost us almost no money because I called in every chit that I had. And so Koichi was there with his wife, and he said, and oh, by the way, I didn't add that he's 75 years old, okay, and he'd never been involved in this. He'd had a successful run developing property in Hawaii, and he lives on a big island now. And he said, no, I don't know anything about this company. I don't know anything about network marketing. I believe in the product. I just called my friends up and said, just trust me. Okay, join, and we'll talk about it later. And you know, I speak Japanese, and I spent a lot of time in Japan, and it reminded me of a woman named Seo-san. Okay, and she was very excited. And if you think the opportunities for older women in their 80s, like Seo-san, are limited in the United States, they're a lot more limited in Japan. All right, and she says, I just don't know if I can make it. I might be too old. And so what she did is she joined up with her much younger 75-year-old friend, okay? What was her, Nakayama-san, I think is what her name was, and they killed it. Okay, they got to a point where they were splitting a check of about $15,000 or $16,000 a month, which for an 80-year-old woman in Japan was unbelievable. And it didn't mean that she knew every single thing about the science. She didn't. She believed in it. And she believed what we told her, but she didn't do independent study, okay? She didn't outthink it. She didn't have, I guarantee you, if she were to say, if she were to talk about the compensation plan, she'd say, I don't know. She might be like a woman I just saw in Mexico recently, an older woman. She's sitting around a table with her friends, and she's saying, I don't speak Spanish, so this had to be translated for me. And you know what she was saying? She was holding a check, and she was laughing. She says, I don't know why. This company just keeps sending me checks. She goes, all I did was introduce it to these 5 people, 5 older ladies. She goes, and I've got a lot of these checks. I mean, seriously, that's how much she understood about it. But all she did was she shared it with people. And if they didn't believe, I mean, first of all, I think it was okay. And I think it's okay to say, now, obviously you don't want to take advantage of people's trust in you. But if you've done the homework and you've looked at this and said, no, seriously, trust me on this. You need to take this product. It's going to help you. Trust me on this. This is going to be a real opportunity. Now, that does put the onus upon you, doesn't it? Especially if you're going to introduce them to the business. You say, trust me. That means you want to help them. They're going to want you to help them. And so that's a big thing. But at the end of the day, what's worse? You go on, you do well, and you have somebody 5 years later say, Christy, I thought we were friends. Why did you talk to me about Activz? And you say, well, you know, you're my friend, and I didn't want to ruin our friendship, and all this kind of stuff. And that person's going to say to you, I don't think you understand what the word friend means. Friend means you share stuff with me that you think is important to you, and you left me behind. And I think that's worse. I really think that's worse than worrying about offending a friend. Because if they're a real friend, and they think that you're looking at them not just as a dollar sign, but as somebody that you really want to help out from a financial and or a health standpoint, they're gonna trust you. And they might politely say no, and please don't ever bring this up again. And that's fine. You honor their wishes. But if you really think that it's going to make a difference in their lives, and I've seen it, okay, I've seen this make a difference. Now, the first person that was on there on the strategic advisory board, his name is Richard Jones, and actually indirectly he's the reason I have a shaved head. Okay, so his son, and I actually did a video. This is going to be posted soon. But his son Rowan is now 28 years old. When he was 12 years old, okay, they live near us in San Diego. When he was 12 years old, he was diagnosed with a pediatric form of bone cancer called Ewing sarcoma. And I was working with these kids. He's the same age as my son, born within days of him, and they were best friends. And I was an assistant football coach on their Pop Warner football team. I worked with them in Boy Scouts and at church and things like that. And it was devastating, okay? 12 years old. and the prognosis wasn't that great. And so they all had a head shaving party. All these boys said, we're going to shave our head to support Rowan. Okay? Now, nature had already begun to take its course. Right? And at that point, your head of hair was much, I couldn't even aspire to that. And so, we're sitting around, and all of a sudden they go, Mr. Brown, why don't you shave your head too? I'm like, well, I don't have that much to contribute to the cause. Why not? Let's go for it. At that point, I was freed. I was freed from shampoo, Breck shampoo, and combs and all that kind of stuff. And well, the rest of the story is that he responded pretty well initially. And but 2 years later, as is often the case with this type of cancer, he came back with a vengeance. Okay, and he had been going to Rayleigh's Children's Hospital in San Diego, and in his ward, most all the kids died, almost all of them. In fact, it got to the point where when he was 15 years old, he was taken from there up to City of Hope Cancer Treatment in Los Angeles. And what they did there was, right before they completely wiped out all of his immune system, they harvested stem cells from his own blood. Okay, and then they took him down to nothing, and basically was in a plastic bubble. And the biggest threat to his health at that point wasn't the cancer; it was of some type of disease or something, or even a cold that could come and take advantage of that. And because he literally had no immune system. Okay, well, he beat the odds. He's now 28. He's married, and he's working well, and working and doing things, and so far so good. But one of the main things that contributes to cancer, and especially breast cancer, this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, is inflammation. And so I don't know about you, but if I can make a difference in my own health, if I can prevent that kind of stuff, because I saw what this kid went through. I remember sitting down with my son at night when he asked me, is Rowan going to die? And you know what? The answer was, maybe, he might. Could lie to him. We all hope he doesn't, and we're all praying. But son, you might need to prepare yourself. That's a conversation. And I don't know if you've ever had, almost nobody escapes the distress of disease, whether it's cancer or somebody else. You probably lost people you love to cancer or to disease. I have. I've sat by the bedside of people who are dying, and it's heart-wrenching. And all I know is, I don't know if we can really control how long we live upon this earth, but one thing I do know is we might not be able to control our lifespan, but we can control our health span. We can make sure that as many days or hours as we have left on this planet can be as healthy and as vibrant and as robust as it can be. And that's what Activz is all about. Because like Dr. Maroon said, okay, he said we have a sick care system. What we really are, Activz is a health care company. Not in the sense of providing insurance, not in the sense of treating something, but it's to help you take care of your health right now. And that's what we're all about. And that's why I love to have meetings like this. This is the early days. These are the pioneers. And all of you, if you have a desire, have the opportunity to step into that void, be the first one in your area. And it's always best to be first. If you can be first in talking about it, and then follow up and keep on it, and let them know through your own enthusiasm and your own belief, and hopefully your own story about what the products are doing for you and your loved ones. That's and then once you get, it's easy to get, slogged down. You think you're in a groove when you're really in a rut. And what you need to do then is remind yourself, what excited me about this in the first place? Sometimes you have to do that. I was a door-to-door salesman once, back when I was in college. And you'd go for it. I'll tell you what, everybody ought to be a door-to-door salesperson once in their life, okay? It teaches you stuff. And you go on long points where, guess what? Everybody slams the door in your face. You know what you do at that point? What I taught myself? I looked at my order book. And I reminded myself, I've made sales. I've made sales. I just had to stick with it and do what I've done before and get myself jacked up about it again. And that's what you got to do. And this is no different, but I'll tell you what. Now, 5 years from now, your friends, people who had health conditions, we have, and I'm going on way too long, but John can tell you about testimonials of people, his own personal testimonial, and they'll say, that's awesome. And then when they make money in this industry and in this company by sharing with others, guess what happens? They will remember. I guarantee you remember when we first met. You remember who introduced you to this company and approximately the time they did it. You remember who did, okay? You remember who introduced you to Life Advantage. Rick, you'll remember this night, for better or for worse. and when it turns out better, guess what? At that point, 5 years from now, they're going to say, I'm so glad you introduced me to this. And now all of a sudden you're part of that family's lore because you helped change the course of what they're doing. That's pretty cool. That's really cool. And I couldn't do that when I was going to Bentonville, Arkansas, introducing stuff to Walmart. It's a big difference, okay? And so that's why it's so exciting. That's why it makes sense for us to take time out of our time and out of our lives and come down to Marcel's parents, or Wayne's, Marcel's, I call you by your last name all the time, to Wayne's house and his parents' house and come here because we're looking for people to join us, to join the cause and to carry the banner and move forward with us. And thanks, guys. And John, back to you.
Awesome. Thank you, David.
All right.
Powerful stuff right there. I'm just going to be brief here. I'm just going to tell you guys about a couple of behind the scenes things. We're going to go live. We're going to do a Facebook Live tomorrow and announce this, but I want to tell all of you guys tonight. So we know we've got incredible products. You heard about them. David talked about them. We've got an incredible compensation plan that makes it simple and easy for people to have success. They've got to put in the effort. They've got to work hard, but we're constantly looking at new ideas and constantly looking at new activities. One of the things that we are going to be launching, and it's going to start as of right now, as of today, and move forward. We're going to be launching an incredible training system. One of the things that this business is about is a lot of people have never done it before, and those that have done it don't know exactly what to do. And if you go get a job at some company, they teach you how to do your job most times. And in this industry, a lot of times it's just like, okay, good luck, go get it, go make it happen. And there's not a lot of that, the nuts and bolts training. So we're putting together something that we call our Activz Academy. We're going to start doing a fly-in program where for every single country, we're going to start flying people in and getting them trained. When you reach the rank of A8 in Activz, we're going to start doing this on a quarterly basis. So you qualify and get paid as an A8 for 3 out of 4 months during the quarter, and we're going to fly you in to an opportunity to get trained, to get taught. Some of you guys that are been around in the industry know that we rolled out something very similar to this called the Pro 5 Summit. And we would do these and we'd fly people in. They were incredible training systems. That was something that I brought to that company. It's something that I've launched at other companies, and we're going to launch it here. So the first will be in the first quarter of 2020. So you can start running for it right now. You can start qualifying for that. And it's going to be an awesome, awesome trip. And at those, you're going to hear training from not only just the corporate, you'll hear from some of the top leaders in the industry, some of the top distributors in the company, and exactly what they did to have success. So it's an awesome opportunity to get trained, to get taught, and to really take your business to the next level. Because even at A8, a lot of people are, they get involved in a company like this, and they're doing it as a side hustle or as a gig, where, they've got their full-time job and they're doing this on the side. When you start hitting some of those leadership ranks, that A8 level, it's an awesome opportunity to do some of that self-evaluation and say, man, I'm making this much money, putting in this much effort. What if I put in a lot more effort? Can I get a lot more money? And so that's one of those pivotal ranks of looking at it and really start doing this as a full-time opportunity instead of just a little side hustle or a side gig on the side. So that's the first major announcement. The other major announcement goes right in line with something that Karen and Ed qualified for at a previous company. We want to put together something that gets our brand out there, that gets people seeing who we are. We know that we're paying out huge amounts in checks. I mean, there's a lot of money that's going out, but we also know that some of those tangible things are fantastic to build a brand and to show people some of the rewards that you're having. So we're going to be launching what we refer to, and this kind of got changed. We kind of going back and forth on some names, but we'll call it the Activz Car Club for now. It could be the A Drive. It could be, you could see a lot of different names for it, but we're launching an incredible car program where we're going to be paying people every single month to have a car, to have an Activz car. We're not going to limit it to this brand or that brand. We'll have some specific guidelines, but you can start qualifying for that right now. In fact, we're going to do a special thing. So you have to hit one of the higher leadership ranks. As you look through the compensation plan, every other rank, there's kind of a rank advancement bonus where you get a one-time payout when you hit this rank, and then at this rank, and at this rank, and we're just going to keep that going. So as you hit some of the elevated ranks, you hit the rank of A12 and A14 and A16, you're going to start getting some large some large income to pay for some really nice cars. But to kick off this program, since we're launching it here on the 24th, it's 24th today, right?
Yep.
24th of October, we want to just kind of put some more emphasis on it. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a drawing this month. Anybody that rank advance above Pro 4 or A4, anybody that goes A4 and above is going to get your name in a raffle. So if you rank advance this month to A4 or above, you're going to get your name in a raffle, and we're going to draw one lucky winner. And we're going to give them a $500 payment towards a new car for the next 12 months, as long as they're qualified to hit that. So huge reward, huge benefit. On top of all the other things that we're doing, we want to just keep pouring fuel on the fire and just